Welcome to the One Day at a Time Recovery Podcast, where my guests share their stories of addiction, how they recovered, and the tools and practices they use to stay sober now. Hey, friend, thank you so much for joining me. I'm doing a little mini in between episode called Sobriety Reset, and I'm going to give you 3 things to think about if you're just starting your first 30 days of sobriety. Now, we're headed into sort of like this sober recovery season. September is actually considered recovery month. And then October will be sober October. And then November will be no booze November. And then everybody tries to hold on for December. And then January, of course, is like the big recovery month. But I just wanted to give you a set of tools that you can kind of think about if you're sort of resetting your sobriety, meaning if you've tried to get sober before and you relapsed, or you're just thinking about it, I want to give you 3 ideas, 3 things to think about that will help you get through your first 30 days. So, of course, I'm going to have to start with the old cliche, one day at a time. The thing is, when people think about getting sober, they're thinking about, oh my God, can I stay sober for the rest of my life? Am I going to be able to stay sober if somebody dies? What happens if I want to get married? People have all these scenarios in their head about a time when they don't think that they can stay sober. So, the little mental trick, the little mental hack, if you will, is to use this old cliche one day at a time. Because I think what really stresses people out is the idea of forever. It's too weighty, it's too big, it's too much. So I'm suggesting that you just focus for the next 30 days, every day when you wake up in the morning, go, you know what, I might drink tomorrow, but I'm just gonna stay sober for today, just for one day. Like, and if you can't think about the whole day, think about what can I do to get through this next hour? Like if it's that bad. It's not, for some people it's really extreme. Maybe for you it's not that extreme. But think about just one day. You can do anything for one day. So that is really, it's sort of like a mental trick. But if you just think about, I'm just going to stay sober for today, you can almost feel the weight lift because forever is just too much. You can't, the funny thing is you can't even really stay sober forever. You can't stay sober tomorrow, today, right? All you can actually do is in the moment choose sobriety for right now. That's really all you can do. I think a lot of the anxiety, say anxiety is stress about tomorrow and depression is about ruminating about the past. So if you start to notice yourself stressing out, just bring yourself back to this idea of, you know what, I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about the dinner. I'm not going to worry about the family member. I'm just going to focus on right here, right now, staying sober just for today. So that is sort of like the first mental hack that I wanted to give you for over this. Let's just shoot for 30 days, but let's just keep in mind this one day at a time cliche. I really think it's going to help you. It has helped me through so many challenging periods of my life. So just focus on one day at a time. And then over the next 30 days, I want you to think about getting some support. It could be like you just pick a friend and you say, hey, I'm going to do this 30-day challenge. Could you support me? Could you check in on me? Let me check in with you. If I'm stressed out, can I call you? You might even want to think about joining a peer support group. You could do a 12-step program. If that's not for you, there are many peer support. There are programs, there are Facebook groups. You could even reach out to me for heaven's sakes. I mean, I'm on social media, I'm on Instagram. It's at Arlena Allen. You could actually reach out to me and say, hey, you're going to be my you're going to be my sober buddy for the next 30 days. And you could do a daily check-in. Like it could be that easy, right? Like it just doesn't have to be hard. The thing is you don't want to be isolated. A lot of people who have challenges with drinking also are extremely independent. This is like extreme independence is actually a sign of childhood trauma. Like if when you were growing up, you didn't get your needs met, you learned that you couldn't count on anybody else. And so that you had to be extremely independent, right? Nobody can tell you nothing. You're just going to focus on yourself. You can't trust anybody. That those are signs that that you had some past trauma. I'm here to tell you that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are doing the recovery program and they are staying sober by being of service. They say in recovery that the number one preventer of relapse is being intense, like working intensely with another person who is also trying to be sober. So it's so interesting. So it's out of self-interest that we are helpful, but there are millions of people out there who are ready and willing to help support you, and they're doing it for their own benefits. So don't feel so bad like, oh, I'm being a burden on somebody. You're actually doing an act of service by letting them be of assistance to you. It's kind of a we thing, right? So they say in 12 step that it's a we program, like we help each other. It's like we're not all crazy on the same day. We're not all stressed out on the same day. So I want to highly encourage you to find a peer support person or a peer support group. And listen, you don't have to do 12 step. There are actually all kinds of peer support programs out there. They're free, some are paid, but there are lots of Facebook groups and things like that where you can find other people who are trying to do it too. And if all else fails, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll be your buddy. The next thing I want to mention is you need to plan ahead for cravings and triggers. There will be times when you feel weak. Willpower is an interesting thing. It's actually a finite resource. Most people are strong-willed on Monday mornings, right? Like we're gung ho, like we ate like crap all weekend, maybe we drank all weekend or whatever. Monday morning, everyone's like, okay, Monday is the day I'm starting over. So Monday morning rolls around, we have lots of resolve. And what ends up happening is willpower is actually a finite resource. It wears off by the end of the day. So there's a couple of things that you can do to sort of bolster your resolve. One is to make sure that I know this sounds cheesy, but you need to hydrate. Make sure you're drinking lots of water. You can drink bubbly drinks, whatever. But make sure you stay hydrated. And the next thing you want to do is make sure that you have enough protein in the afternoon. Believe it or not, there's all kinds of studies out there that show that your willpower is actually reinforced by consuming healthy snacks like proteins. There's this old saying in 12 step, it's called HALT. It stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Those are typically the four triggers, if you will, for cravings. If you're hungry, sometimes people are hypoglycemic and they need snacks, they need to eat, you get low blood sugar, so make sure that you eat. Angry is interesting because it can happen literally at any time, whether you're driving in traffic, your boss makes you angry, your kids, your partner, whatever. Anger is one of those things that actually takes your like logical brain offline. Your amygdala in your brain gets triggered. You go into a fight or fight response, and your brain, your logical mind literally goes offline. You go into fight or flight mode, and it's so hard to think clearly when you're angry. So if you notice that you're feeling angry, the thing that you want to do is either vent to a friend, maybe you can journal about it or whatever. There's so many things you can do. Exercise is great for processing anger. But anger is one of those emotions that people that suffer with alcohol, drug abuse issues, we really need to be careful with anger, right? We need to be able to process it, feel our feelings, process it to resolution before we act out. There's a difference between feeling angry and then acting out on it. Acting out on it is where most of us get into trouble, right? What you don't want to do is reach for a drink or a drug or anything like that. That is the opposite. So you need to prepare ahead of time. If you know you get angry, decide when you're calm, what are the things that typically help you process anger? I think exercise is a great one. So just make a list. Make a list. No, you know you better than anybody else. So plan ahead, make a list of things that you can do if you notice that you're getting angry so you don't reach for a drink. The other thing I want to suggest is to fill your calendar. There's this old saying that mood follows action. So if you're feeling bummed out, you're bored, boredom is a very common complaint early in recovery. If you're feeling bored, just know that that's temporary because your brain is actually resetting from an abuse of dopamine. You've been flooding, if you've been drinking or whatever, have been flooding your brain with unhealthy levels of dopamine. And so your brain, every time you flood it with dopamine, it's like it acts like a seesaw. It goes to the equal opposite. So if it was really high, it's going to be really low to counterbalance. And it takes a minute for it to rebalance itself. And I think that when the rebalancing part, that's when people feel bored. They're so used to so much drama in their lives that they are not accustomed to the feeling of peace, is what you're actually feeling. You're feeling peace. It's okay. It's not boredom, right? That actually will pass. And actually, I have a guide on my website at odatchat.com. It's a under free resources. There is a guide called Sober Fun. If you don't know what to do with yourself, if you typically have been spending your evenings, drinking and watching TV, I got to tell you, you need to replace it with something else. You need a sufficient substitute. So if you're going to be playing sports or reading books, or I would highly recommend connecting with people. It's so easy to isolate when you're sort of in this 30-day beginning phase. You really need, that's why the support is so important, these peer support meetings. That's where you go to find people. So you need a combination of support, but you need also something to do. You can't spend your life at meetings. So I have a guide called Sober Fun, and there is a huge list of things that you can draw inspiration from. It's everything from exercises to fairs or clubs that you can join, or hobbies, or there's a bazillion things you could actually be doing. Now is a great time to think about what you used to like to do when you were a kid, right? What used to light you up? Was it dancing? Was it art? Was it, being outside? Was it working with animals? Whatever. There's so many things that you can do to fill your time. If your mind and heart are engaged and you're sort of in flow state, you don't even think about things like alcohol, right? So make sure that you fill your calendar. Make sure you have lots of things to do. If you can get somebody to commit to like a workout class with you, or go play tennis or golf or whatever, if you can invite somebody to go along with you, that'll actually help a lot, right? You'll have some accountability. And I don't know about you. So when I would be starting a workout, I do really well with a group exercise classes, and I'll ask a friend to join me. That way, at the end of the day, if I'm tired, I will be less likely to bail because I know that my friend will be there. Right. Do stuff like that to get yourself committed and doing some activities, right? Fill your calendar on the weekends. Make sure that you're doing lots of fun things. There is fun to be had, let me tell you. So fill your calendar, plan ahead. And yeah, make sure you have lots of protein snacks, drinks in your house, clear your house of all the booze, and really start to fortify your mind and start building new connections. The beginning is never fun, it's never easy, but it's simple, right? You do a few simple things and you invoke the law of cause and effect, and you start experiencing a different result, right? We want to start building a foundation of connection, of positive habits, and it's a sufficient substitute to the drinking. And listen, if you have some deep traumas, deep stress, uh, see a therapist, get a coach. I'm available as a coach to help you process your triggers, how to handle stressful relationships. I would say that stress and resentment are like the number one causes and triggers for people to wanna drink. So anyway, that is just the first little baby installment of Sobriety Reset. There's actually a whole course called Sobriety Reset, sobrietyreset.com. But I just want to start giving some chunks of information to help you if you are either returning to this idea of sobriety, or if you're just starting out. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm here to help. The easiest way to reach me is on Instagram at Arlena Allen, or you can email me, arlena@soberlifeschool.com. And as always, I hope that helps.